We say what they can't radio.
The Lipstick Chronicles. It's the Lipstick Chronicles. The Lipstick Chronicles. The Lipstick Chronicles.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Toni.
I'm Sharma.
And we are the Lipstick Chronicles. Wait, let me just, before I even go into anything else, because I always forget to do this when somebody is not here, our girl Mo, she
Don't
will
worry,
be
I
here.
would have had you.
Don't because girl, it flies out the window. So our girl Mo, she isn't here today, but she will be back on the next show.
Yeah, just keep her and her family in your prayers, please.
Yes, please. So we have two guests with us. You guys can introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Elisha.
Hi, I'm John Pettaway.
Okay, you're going to have to put a little bit
Yeah,
bass up in there.
maybe
Say it like you mean it. Say it with your chest.
Say your chest.
Yes.
Clear your throat.
I yell at kids all
People,
day. So
listen,
I have it.
pretend one of them is standing right there and just go ham.
Okay, track me. My name is John Pettaway. I'm happy to be here today.
Okay, before we go into the trending topics, I don't know if everybody do. All y'all like follow Lent, do y'all? Nobody does.
You mean
Used
you said
to.
Lent?
Lent.
Used to.
I
Lent.
thought you said
Either
Lent,
yes.
and I was about to say, who is that?
No, not the well,
Yes.
the wrong word.
Yes,
the
no,
following.
yes, Lent, yes,
Lent.
I
yes,
should have
yes,
said that.
yes.
Do you
Used to.
Practice
anybody?
Lent. Practice Lent.
Yes, do you practice
Yes,
Lent?
I do. I didn't this year for some reason. I think because when it started, I was in New Orleans, so it was kind of like null and void. So yeah, I didn't.
so
I mean,
you
I
gave
gave
up
up
nothing?
some things. Yeah,
What you
I
gave
gave up
up?
some things. I can't really say.
Yes, you can. Say it. Go ahead, say it. All right. Well, did
Nope.
y'all give up anything?
Just gave up like soda. I tried to do cursing, but no.
Girl, you work with
that's
kids,
not
girl.
gonna happen. Right. So
When you leave the school, like fuck, bitch, shit,
right.
get it all out.
What about you?
Nothing.
Really?
No, I give enough. I'm okay.
Did you give up anything?
Yes. I mean, it was easy for me because it's been already gone. So.
What?
Sad.
Girl, please. You didn't get that up for Lent. You was not doing it before. Stop that bullshit. You was not doing that before.
Wait. But that's on all, like everything.
Okay,
That's
so
like
no
everything.
nothing.
No nothing.
Okay, so you don't want to meet, huh? It's all good. It's all
How's that
good.
going?
Listen.
I mean, well, it's been almost a year for me. So sex, of course you do masturbation and stuff like that. But so I cut all that.
I'm about to
I'm
say,
like,
you better
it's
get
not-
that
Okay.
up too,
Yes,
girl.
Because I needed
nothing.
you to elaborate. You said everything. I'm like,
Everything.
everything.
Yes,
Okay.
everything.
Did she
It's
better?
all
Because
right.
I remember when I was not having
But you-
sex, and then I was masturbating for a lot.
you
and
was out of
gotta
control.
stop.
You was out of control.
So I did stop for like 6 months. I literally did stop. I did not. God bless you. I did. You know, I think like bullshit. That's what I thought he said. But I did stop because I realized that I wasn't getting where I needed to be.
It doesn't fulfill you. It's a way. It's like
at
a
first
weight.
it did,
You do
but
when
then
you
it
do it
doesn't.
too much, it's just like, okay, what the fuck?
I read something recently about that saying like, okay, so when you do it so much that you don't appreciate the real thing, like you will never reach your climax when you actually do decide to have sex because your body is just not, it has to get back into that motion.
That's
That
bullshit.
must be a woman thing.
No, I'm telling you.
I'm kind of confused because I'm just like, the masturbation, it doesn't please me as much as the man would.
That's possible. That's
So
possible.
I'm like, when I'm, in the mix, I catch myself like, what are you doing? Like,
but that could be that you got to really explore yourself more.
Because
It-
see,
yeah.
the thing about it is too, when you masturbate too much, it kind of makes it harder for you to get off when you're actually with somebody.
Even when you ain't with somebody, it takes.
Well, yeah, if you, that's
I have
what we
almost
was
died
talking
in the
about.
shower.
Yeah,
I
it's
told you that. Like, it's just because, it takes so long to happen. Like, I just be like, fuck it. Like, what the hell? Like, so,
But
yeah.
it when you do it too much, it's just like, it's just,
Yeah.
So.
It hurts you in the long run. Take it from somebody who knows.
well, I'm not going to stop, but
No, you don't have to stop. You don't have to stop. But if you're like, you might be doing both.
sparingly.
So you're doing both, so it's not really harming you so much. But I was literally only doing that for like 3 years. So it was just like, and I mean, constantly until it was just like to the point where, okay, the sponge is dry now. Like there's nothing left.
Like,
So
you be
yeah.
having misty
Girl,
tears in the
sweat be
shower and
everywhere.
shit. You be crying. You be like, this shit ain't
liquid is
working.
coming from everywhere except where it's supposed to be coming from. So it's just like, you know what? I give up. I was like, I give up. I need to speak to somebody. So
That's funny.
But yeah. Anyway, that is not what we're talking about.
Yes. Move right along. So we're going to get into the hot topics, trending topics.
What
so the
is
trending
the hot
topics,
topic?
so we're going to talk about, okay, so I know everybody, and I definitely picked this because of you guys. Y'all heard about Loughlin
Oh,
and
the college
Felicity
admission
Huffman.
stuff?
Yes, them paying to get their kids into school. I know Loughlin, she had both of her kids into USC, and what they were doing is they was paying, well, I know that her and her husband paid $500,000, and what they were doing, they was falsifying their exam, their scores on the exams. I don't know if they were getting scholarships. They were saying that they was playing on athletic teams and shit like that. I don't know if they was photoshopping them onto pictures and just a
damn.
whole bunch of crazy shit.
When you got money, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
But it
Like,
was and so many people that was caught up. It was about like 33 people. That's faculty, everything. Like everybody is going down. They had to go for bail. Her husband had to put up the house. That's Lori Loughlin.
I wonder if it was worth it.
Huffman. Huh?
I wonder if it was worth it.
No, because now the two girls.
Did the kids graduate or are they still in school?
No, they're still in school. The two girls, they actually dropped out because they was, scared of being bullied. And one of them
in college?
white girl.
Getting bullied in college because you don't even know the person that's sitting next to you in college.
But
Like,
see,
give me a
here's the
damn
thing,
break.
no, because one of the daughters actually is a YouTuber, a well-known YouTuber. She was the face of Sephora, like one of the endorsers of Sephora. So she's well known and she has a huge following.
Okay.
So for her, people see her. Twitter, they attacking her, they dragging her. It's probably Black Twitter.
It's just words. Just words.
But
Ignore them
they
shits.
can't handle the pressure
Ignore
like
them
we can.
shits.
Girl,
Fuck it. You
come
did
on
the
now.
crime. Fuck it. Just be like, yes, I did it. Listen. I mean, whatever. Like,
So-
it's just goddamn words.
What was interesting about that whole thing too was one of the girls was actually blogging that they didn't even want to go to college.
That was the daughter. That was
Wow.
she didn't want to. She wanted to hang out and party and
Yeah.
stuff like that. She didn't want to go to college.
Right. So it's a bunch of it's a lot of fuckery with that whole situation, right? Because
Right.
like you have situations where like Black families they'll use a different address to be able to
Yes.
And,
And
to
get
send
locked
their
up.
and get locked
And
up.
because that lady that got
I was
locked
just
up.
the one in Ohio.
Yes,
They
Right.
they fined her 10 days. They had her go 10 days in jail. They wanted her to pay back $30,000. She said she wasn't paying the $30,000, so they put her in jail for 10 days, and now she has 3 years probation.
Yes. Or because she wanted a better education for her
And
child.
all she did was just say she lived at a different address. How many people have not done that? Like,
Excuse me, insurance fraud. I mean, everybody in that
Facts.
shit is registered at a different damn
Yeah,
address.
I'm backwards.
I
I
be
need
seeing
that,
so
yeah.
many damn North Carolina, South Carolina,
Florida,
I'm like, y'all
yeah.
niggas know damn well
Right.
y'all don't live in no goddamn North Carolina. Like, so it's the whole. But it's so crazy because in New York, I actually know a grandparent. Her daughter is a teacher, and she wanted her kids to go to a better school. She fought and fought until she won, sued the Board of Education, and was able for her children to go. But see, New York laws is different from everybody else's laws.
That
And
is correct.
she had the mindset and the time and the education to fight for her kids' rights. So for me, my thought is the reason why we have zone schools is to keep us in a box.
Right.
So I feel like if I see you every day, we live on the same block, I need to see something different.
Right.
Like, I don't need to see you on Saturday and Sunday, Monday through Friday. Now, I know kids who get in trouble a lot because they live in the same neighborhood they go to school. So what happens? Those kids know your personal business.
Right.
They bring it to school. So now they're bullying you, they're teasing you because they know your mother's a crackhead. They know, your father left. So it becomes a problem, and it doesn't build great character for these kids if they can't see different stuff.
And then also, too, to just get outside of your neighborhood, to just explore different things.
Exactly.
To meet different people. I know for me, like, when I was growing up, my father was like, you're not going to school in the neighborhood. You see these niggas every day.
Exactly.
You're going to go, you're going to meet new people, you're going to see different people. And, of course, when you're younger, you don't really understand it.
No, because I want to go with my friends.
But, it was good because it opened me up to meeting a lot of different people, exploring a lot of different neighborhoods, and just be stuck in the style all the time.
And I was stuck here. Like, I didn't go to 305 though. I went to 258. And then, but when I lived in Flatbush, I went to a school way far. It was predominantly white kids. I think I was one of 5 Black kids in the school. Then when we moved to Bedford-Stuyvesant, I went to 258. But when I decided to go to high school, everybody went to boys and girls. I was like, I'm not going to that school because I thought only retarded kids went to that school. So I didn't go to that school. I was like, I want to go outside of Brooklyn. So I went to Martin Luther King. And that was the first time I saw so many white Asian. I was like, damn, it's a lot of different people in this world,
Right.
like a lot of different kids in this world. So that's why I said, like, for my kids, I sent them outside of the neighborhood. I was like, you got to see different. Like, you can't just be around even though my kids don't really go outside, but you can't be around the neighborhood kids. Like, you're not going to the school just because it's across the street.
Right.
Like, we're not going to do that. So
Yeah.
we're going to go outside of our neighborhood.
And see, for me, it was different because I always went to schools outside. So when I got to high school, I went to the neighborhood school. I went to the old boys high, and that was the worst decision that my parents could have allowed me to make because what ended up happening, it was like a party every day. I went to
Exactly.
school with all the people I chilled with.
Everybody in the hood.
I was cutting school. I was doing things that I really shouldn't have been doing. And had I would have went to where I was supposed to go, it probably would have been a little bit different.
Right.
So it definitely hindered me in that way. But listen.
It's just unfortunate that in most cases when we're talking about education, zip code determines whether you're going to have like a great, well-balanced academic experience.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like they have this, working in a charter school, they have this map where it's like green, yellow, red. And so like obviously like the green represents the schools that are like predominantly like white and affluent and like have all the resources. And then you look at like Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, Brownsville, East New York, all the places where like predominantly black kids are going to school and their experience isn't as diverse as others. But what's interesting and what's starting to happen now in places like Clinton Hill and like what they call Bed-Stuy now? Stuyvesant Heights?
Stuyvesant Heights.
Right, like shit. Like
Yeah.
you starting to see that red turn a little bit because of the white folks that are gentrifying
Yes.
things. So it's interesting that zip code literally determines whether or not your child is going to be successful or not.
That's right. Unless you putting in that work. I
Yeah.
mean, because to me, no matter what school your child go to, if you helping with that 80% as much as you can, your child will still be successful. And people have to stop depending on the schools to give their children everything. And recently we was at a party and we ran into a parent who used to have a child at AFE. And I was like, I do know. And she said, yeah, my child is not in the school no more. And I'm like, why? And she says, oh, because they didn't give them vocabulary words. And I'm like, that's your job. Like they give them sight words. They do. First of all, I feel like they do way too much in the school in a given day. So I'm
Right.
like, you cannot expect, if you feel like that's the one thing they're not giving your child,
Why don't you give
guess
it your
what?
child?
Once a week, on
Right.
Sunday, study these 10 words, find the meaning. You can do that.
I mean, we are kind of considered like the babysitting club because, parents do send their kids there for us to like not only discipline,
Yep.
but educate, just do like the whole thing.
I mean, y'all spend more time
And-
with the kids than
Yeah,
parents in a
We
given
do,
day.
but it starts from home.
That's right. That's
So
right.
They fail to realize that, So even though we have a long day and we do get out at 4:00, you still have parents that's rolling in the building at 6.
I know.
And it's like, okay,
Oh, I know.
Like-
I be at the after school program. I'm like, hello, girl, we got to go. Like,
Right.
I got to go. Like, where these
Exactly.
parents at?
So
Like,
it's like, some of the parents just don't have consideration for us. Like, we don't have lives. Like, we're not parents as
like
well.
y'all don't want to go home and
Like,
just
y'all
go to
don't have a
bed.
life. Right.
I still have to go home and cook and clean and do
Right.
homework.
That's
but,
right.
So I just, make a little joke here and there. Like, yeah, I'm babysitting today.
Of course. No, I always say that. I
all the
always say
time,
people
so.
use school as babysitting, but I'm like, yes, they're there with your children. They there to give your child an education, but education starts with you.
Definitely.
So when she said that to me, I was like, okay, we in the club, so I can't get real turned up, but I'm just like, it just
Not in
doesn't
that
make
way.
sense. Like, you can't blame the school. Okay, yes, maybe I said, but they start them from early, like with the sight words and stuff.
Right.
So you could take those same sight words and be like, okay, they're teaching you to spell it. I'm gonna teach you what the meaning is.
Right.
That is a part of your being a parent.
Right.
Like, you can't just relinquish your rights because when they with you, they only eating, doing homework, and going to sleep.
Right.
So, and then in the morning, like the same cycle. So when I hear parents say, oh, this school is not good, I'm like, the school is only as good as you help it to
Yes.
be. Like, you have to assist your child in the education. Like, when you go to work, they ain't teaching you everything. You got to learn some things.
That's
like,
true.
you got to figure some things out for yourself. Well, so.
Well, I'm happy your child is in AF. All right, I like you. Okay, mom. Right. She come with us.
I'm not sure if we're still going to be in New York. I don't
Listen,
know.
Well, that's the only excuse I'm going to
Yes,
take.
I don't
if you are not in New York, if you are here,
Yes,
we
no,
need
she
her,
know I don't
okay?
play with her like no.
I do think that there's some validity to parents having some perspective about things that we should be doing. Because on one hand, it's like what we do with our kids is like we do a lot of hand holding. And when, especially in elementary, we do a lot of hand holding, we do a lot of things that just don't necessarily set them up to be successful when they get to middle school.
Okay.
And some of the real questions that a lot of us parents, because I actually have a child in the elementary and in the middle school, some of the questions that we need to be asking is like, how are we building character? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to talk to are we going into this a little too early, by the way?
No, go
We
set it up. So
Yeah,
just
it's-
go
think-
right into it.
Some of the issues that like I have with our network is like the way that children identify themselves with that color system is like completely the wrong idea. So like when I ask my child like, hey, like, how was your school? How was your day in school today?
Right.
Oh, I was on red. Like, I don't give a fuck about what color.
Right.
I want to know what your experience was like. Were you treated with respect today?
Right.
Did you learn something? Did you have an opportunity to show like who you actually are? And when those questions don't come back with the affirmative, then like
Yes.
we got an issue.
Right.
Also, like when we're not talking about like real history, like
Yes.
I don't give a shit about Columbus and all the makeshift things that like kids are used to, like the things that we've learned.
Right.
Right.
Like, kids need to know who they are, where they
That's
came
right.
from.
That's very important.
So why
Yes.
kids struggle with identities, because a lot of times these folks spend a good time telling kids what they should be,
Exactly.
how they should act, what
Yep.
they should like, what they should value. Those are the things that parents need to spend a little bit more time being
Yes.
concerned
Yes.
with.
Yes.
Yes, you know, and it's a lot of the times, a lot of us often do rely on the schools to teach our children those things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to, because we have to just come to the realization that it's just certain things that our children just won't be taught in the schools.
Right.
You know, especially when it comes to us black and brown children, they're not going to be taught certain things.
No.
And especially if you look at the new face of what teachers are these days, they're mostly, you know,
Children.
They are also, yes, they are.
I'm like, I could be your
children.
mama. What
they
the
are
heck?
children, and also they're Caucasian.
Right.
So, you know, they're not gonna teach your kids the out of the box things. So you have to make sure that at home you're letting your kids know, okay, this is where you come from.
Right.
This is that, so that they can know and that they can be well aware of who they are as people, because they're just not gonna get that in school at all.
Right.
You know, so
I don't know. What I've noticed at AF is like they do so much, and they try to cram in extra things. So like I know Treasure's been there since kindergarten.
Okay.
So they do. She's in second grade.
girl, it gets a little fuzzy.
She
I'm
in
about
second
so
grade
mad.
because she act like she about 13. So I'm like, wait, she in the second grade. So, and I noticed like once, not even once. So like before it was once a year, they would do the culture thing. Now it's, instead of a birthday party, they do you want to celebrate your culture as opposed to celebrating your birthday? So yeah. So, because they gave me the paper and I was like, what?
See, London only
What
celebrated
day?
one birthday.
I'm
and
like,
that was
me,
gonna
girl,
be
me
the first
too.
and the last.
I told Treasure, no
After
more
the damn cake
birthdays.
pops,
I was like, after I spent so much money for 30 seconds, I was like, girl, please, we could have had this party outside. But anyway, so, and she's like, I'm having a party. I'm like, girl, no, you're not. I'm like, you can take cupcakes to school. I'm not even baking them. I'm like, I'll go buy you some cookies. That's a waste of my time and a waste of my money. But they did insert now for each individual child on their birthday to celebrate their culture. So they introduce their culture to their classmates. And if there's more than one birthday, then each child will introduce their culture. So I told my daughter, girl, we ain't doing that. I'm like, it will take all day for you to do that. Like, we don't have enough time. That little 30 seconds or 30 minutes they give you is just
you know
not
it's
enough
at the end of
time.
the day, like the last 20
and I'm
minutes.
not there. I have to work. So I'm like, I'm not there. I'm like, it's nice that they try. I mean, the parents who can go, who don't work, who can do that, then more, that's great. So I'm like, okay, they trying. I'm like, they do the Black History Month celebration. They're trying, I guess. And I think it's more because of more parent input. Parents are like, listen, this is not what I would like. Now, this is the first year they didn't celebrate Dr. Seuss Day. They called it Literacy Day, which I was kind of confused because I was like, I actually like Dr. Seuss, even though people say he was a racist. But sometimes I think people look too deep into stuff. But we all raised our children on these books. I was raised on Dr. Seuss books. So the whole thing is, if that was the case, then why the hell are we reading these books? If it's an issue, but these books have taught a lot of children how to read. So Parents have complained, oh, we don't want to celebrate this because this man is racist. So they changed it to Literacy Day. And the only problem I have is, you're one person out of 1,000 people. I used to work at schools, and I have some Muslim parents that come and say, oh, why y'all don't have a vegetarian menu? How come y'all don't have this menu? And I said, there's schools that cater to just, your menu, what you like. You want to send your kid to the school. You can't come and change the menu for just your kid. Now, if your kid has a special diet, guess what? Send them to school with lunch. Like, that's what you could do. If your kid is allergic to 39 things on the menu, send them to school with lunch. Like, don't depend on the school to take that on. Like, of course, the school is going to take responsibility, but it's 900 kids in the school.
It sounds so good when you say it. But when we say it just sounds
because
trust me, when I was at the school, it didn't sound good. People was like, what?
We should have been had this conversation. But it's like, Dad, when John and I are sitting on the back end and, we say that and we try to emphasize on that, we just sound like,
like y'all bashing them or something, or like
Right.
y'all, and
we're trying to go against,
Right.
who we work for, like what the schools stand for. So it's.
Oh, you got to use your mic. He can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta lean in a little bit, girl.
She chilling.
I was just saying.
She got comfortable, see?
I did.
She got comfortable.
I was just saying it sounds real nice when you said it, because when John and I are sitting on the back end and we say it, it just looked like we're going against, like who the school stand for, what the school stand for, like, so I'm just happy like we're on the same page. And
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like if I was, let's see, so if I was a kosher person, and I couldn't find a school that served, a public school that served kosher, I'm going to look in my neighborhood, because most likely those schools will service my kosher child.
Right.
So you cannot
or you
say,
just pack the lunch.
Just pack the lunch.
That's it.
But people
That's
are
it.
lazy; they don't want to do the
Right.
extra.
Well, you know what? They got kosher Pop-Tarts. They got kosher
Everything.
wraps. They got kosher every damn thing. I mean, make it the night before.
I'm kind of like, I'm with you, but then like, see, what I won't say is that, everybody has the ability to be able to make their child a lunch.
Okay,
Because
that's
there
true.
are some people that literally rely on being
That's true,
fed
that
when
they
they
just
come
don't
to school.
Oh,
have
no.
it,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
In
I do
that
know
case,
that. I do know that.
Where I do agree with you is when somebody complains about the menu, but they got the latest Jordans and iPhones and iPads that, like, you literally can afford to give your child
Yes.
$5 to $7 a day to be able to feed themselves. Now, I will say this too.
We'll make a turkey and cheese
Right.
sandwich.
I will also say that, like,
Leftovers.
Peanut butter and jelly.
nutrition is one of the most important things that schools don't get right.
I've
Oh.
seen the lunch
They just-
is. I was so like one day I came and I was sitting in there with you and Madison came in with this teriyaki meatball and
It is.
I was like, what the fuck is
And
that?
see,
it's not
AF
food.
lunch is different than ours.
Right.
So, and I complain, they hated me because I don't bite my tongue. I'm like, if we say that we're feeding our children healthy, because, Michelle Obama created this whole healthy eating for children. But I'm like, why does everything come in a plastic bag? For me, my kids, they don't know boxed macaroni and cheese. They don't know none of that stuff. Right. So when my daughter goes to school, she's like, what is this? Like, what is this? She's like, oh my God, mommy, they gave me something with a big thing look like. I'm like, girl, listen. I'm like, don't eat it. I'm like, pack a lunch.
Right.
But sometimes she don't want to pack a lunch because
Right.
she's lazy. She don't want to pack a lunch. But at the schools, when I see this stuff and I'm just looking like, and I see the kids and they take the food and they just throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, because that's what Madison
We
said. I was like,
waste
why did you
so
throw that in the
much
garbage? She was like, I'm not
food.
eating that.
Think
I was
about
just
it.
like,
Think
ugh.
about it from adult perspective when, like, you're hungry and what your mood is like. Now juxtapose that to a child
Exactly.
who didn't eat all day long.
That's right.
And you're worrying about the pencil being in the groove, the shirt being tucked,
The white T-shirt,
the
kid
tracking, like,
hangry.
belt.
and that kid is hangry. as
That's
fuck.
right. That's right. That's
You understand
right.
what I'm saying? So, like,
They're about to turn
that is
all the way up.
that is a huge issue in
Oh, yeah.
in the charter school,
It's
public
in
schools
all
in general.
schools. Trust
Like,
me, it's in all
they got to get that
schools.
nutrition piece
The
right.
thing that really pissed me off, now I don't mind in the hotter months, but like December, January, February, most schools don't serve breakfast. And they do give breakfast, but it'll be like a cold bagel, a cold muffin, cold cereal. Yogurt.
Like a granola
And
bar
I'm
or
sitting here like,
That's not nutritious.
first of all, what happened to breakfast is the most important meal of the day. What happened to that? I'm like, did that just go out the window? Because for me, even though I'm not a breakfast person like that, but I don't want, if I'm going somewhere expecting to get breakfast, I don't want a cold bagel with cold cream cheese.
You want something warm. You want something
Right, at least
hot.
can I get a toasted bagel? Like, can I get a toasted muffin? Only 2 days a week they give a hot breakfast, and kids don't want it. It's a turkey chorizo burrito, and a sausage with white cheese on a bagel. Most kids don't want it. Why? Because most kids don't eat beef. Right. Most kids don't eat pork. Right. Like, they don't want that. And I'm saying, who are we asking? Because at Endeavor, I will say, Revolution, they do ask the children. Like, they do tastings with the kids. Yeah, because Treasure was one of those kids. They do tastings with the kids. Like, if they got a new item, they'll say, can we have this kid, that kid? And they'll ask the kids, about 20 kids, and get their opinion on whether they should bring it on the menu or not. Now, school food says they does that, but I don't believe that. I think they have the people who cook the food, their kids, looking at the food, and my daddy made it. Of course it tastes good. And I'm just like, they make macaroni and cheese. It's so disgusting. I mean, I'll try to jazz it up. You know, I ain't doing that no more. But I put my little sofrito in there. I do my little stuff, and the kids will eat it, bake it to make it look like baked macaroni and cheese. Because I know that all of us, but mostly kids, they look at food. If it don't look good, they don't want it.
You're damn right.
They don't want it. And it could be the best meal. But if it don't look appetizing, we know, because we like, oh yeah, it look nasty. But we know sometimes that nasty food be tasting real good.
Fuck that. If it look nasty, I ain't fucking with it.
No, because I know, soul food restaurants, they don't dress up their food. They just slap it on a plate. You know the food is good. But for kids, they're just like, yeah, I'm not going to eat that. And what they tell them, and I hate this, just take the tray. They know they're going to throw it in the garbage.
You're wasting.
But they teach I felt stupid because the kids said, so you just telling me to waste the food. I'm like, call your local congressman. It's not my idea. I mean, I would not rather you throw the food away. I'm like, but guess what? I'm going to throw it away because I've made it and you're not eating it. So somebody got to throw it away. We can't save it. And if you take it from the building to give it to other people, you lose your job. So it's just like, it doesn't make sense.
You can't save it though, right?
No, I do know that because it's not savable. Right. The food is in a bag. Right. Once you take it out the bag and you cook it, that's it.
But that's what our kids are eating.
Exactly. And that's the problem I have.
Right.
It have to have preservatives in it because it has to be preserved to stay in the freezer for X amount of months, to stay in the fridge for X amount of weeks. So that's my issue. Right. I'm like, now, I don't really know all the logistics of Michelle's whole thing to get healthy, but I know that Trump tried to change everything. But to me, they trying to make restaurant style food the fast way. And even like, they have these like Jamaican style beef patties. And I don't eat beef, but I opened it up and I'm like, there's not one drop of meat in here. Like, it just looked like some molecular black bean. It's probably like 90% black beans and 10% beef. And disgusting. Empanadas. And I'm like, you can see it. You go in the garbage can at the end of the day, tons and tons and tons of garbage. The only thing they like is the pizza. That's all they like. And even that don't taste good because the cheese don't melt. But
that one's eatable for the kids.
Right. But they feed them a lot of cheese, a lot of bread. I'm like, these poor kids in 20 years are going to have diabetes and they're going to have clogged arteries. And I believe it's all for testing. Because why are you giving them this much cheese? Grilled cheese, pizza, cheeseburgers, like fish and cheese. Everything is cheese and bread. Are we in prison? Are our children in prison? Like, everything is cheese and bread. Right. And they're going to be obese. I hate to say it. They're going to be obese and they're going to have health problems. Right. And not to mention the other stuff because the food is processed. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Let me ask you two guys something. John, I'll start with you. What made you decide to want to go into education?
Good question. To answer that question, I guess I got to go back into like what my experience in education was. So like I grew up in the South Bronx at a time when, I'm giving my age up.
That's all right. We all probably the same age.
Exactly.
I'm 41.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, we older than you.
Exactly.
There you go. But I grew up at a time when they used to do this thing where like they passed you along.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the technical or exact term.
No Child Left Behind or something like that.
No, that came after.
That was the reason why that came.
Exactly.
That was the reason why that came.
Social promotion.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what
there it is. Ooh,
so I came up at a time when like the way that they used to have classes, it was like the 1s, the 2s, and the 3 classes. If you were in the 1 class,
Yes.
smart.
Wow.
If you were in the 2 class,
You was borderline.
if you were in
Yes.
the 3 class,
Boy,
like, yeah,
just
like,
go home.
Get them niggas away from me.
Like we're teasing you. The
Right.
1s and the 2s, the 2s and the 3s and the 4s.
Yes,
The 4s we don't
yes.
even associate
Keep
with
them,
y'all at
keep
all.
them niggas at the end of
The
the
fours is
hallway.
at the gym
right.
all day long.
Facts. Keep the niggas at the end of the hallway. Make sure they got gym 2-3
They
times a
drooling
week.
and shit. They
Right.
They in the
So,
basement.
like,
Their classes
yes.
in the basement.
Oh my God.
Because that's
Like,
how I was in 258.
So my experience was I was always in the 3-4 classes. I was always in those classes.
Okay.
I didn't test well. And in a lot of cases, I probably wasn't even ready to move on to the next grade because I just kept being socially promoted.
Wow.
And then I would see a lot of kids who were like in the same boat, but they didn't have like the family background I had. See, like my mom's believed in the wash you method, which is like you get washed, wash your ass. You get left back, I'm gonna wash your ass. You get suspended, I'm gonna wash
I
your
think
ass.
that everybody came from
Back,
that.
back in them
school.
days.
Yes.
I'm gonna wash your ass up. So like I was always, and that's where like a lot of like white educators will understand that like a lot of kids' motivation comes out of fear.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Because we were scared of mom and dad that like
I
you
got to get my ass
What?
whooped.
you fuck that up, then you're gonna get got, right? So like my experience going to school in those days wasn't necessarily about learning. It was just about like getting by.
Right.
And I didn't necessarily realize like what was happening to me until I got to high school when I was in ninth grade. I did ninth grade twice. I did ninth grade twice. I graduated when I was 20 years old. And the only reason why I graduated is because I remember this dude that I went to school with. And he was like, man, you never gonna get out of here. You might as well just like drop out.
Wow.
And then after that, this white teacher was like, you know what, you should go to a vocational school. I don't think it's gonna happen for you. And then I had a teacher, and this would change my life. I had a teacher, his name was Mr. Roberts. I was like, yo, Mr. Roberts, back to back, this jackass told me that I'm not gonna do nothing. Then this teacher, who used to be nice and befriend me and do all the nice things and say nice things to me, tried to force me out. And he was like, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. But what you gotta do is you gotta persevere. Do you wanna graduate high school? I said, yes. So I did summer school, night school, PM school in 1 year. I made up 2 years of school in 1 year. Then when it was time for me to go to college, because I was in such a low percentile, I didn't have a lot of choices. So I had to go to like the community college. I had to go to like the schools where like you had to take remedial classes, which essentially meant that like you wasn't going to graduate on time because your first year of school, you was taking a bunch of
Basically high school all over again.
Yeah.
So like I went through all that, and then I got this job being a para in an elementary school in kindergarten, and like I felt stupid because like I'm a grown man in this class with all these little ass kids, but at the same time like they are so needy. They need you for everything: tissue, tie their shoes, help them read, help them with letters. And something clicked in my head. It was like I can do this. And so I was a para for 5 years, and then the principal at the school was like, "You are not a para. You are a teacher. Go back to school. I will hire you."
Wow.
So I went back to school, got my degree, but I didn't stay there. That's one of the biggest regrets. I actually went to teach at a Catholic school. So I did Catholic school for 2 years. Then I did a charter school out in Newark where I got introduced to coaching basketball, which is what I do to this day. And I've been in AF the last 9 years. So my life, it's interesting because at the beginning of my academic experience, it was a struggle because like, again, like I was being socially promoted, and I felt like I was smart, but like I got reminded when I got to high school that like it was a lot of things.
It was like a reality slap.
But then when I got around those babies, man, it was like, wow, I want to be able to do something different than what I got. And so when I was a para, like I saw so much. I was seeing like how like a lot of these administrators looked at our kids as like numbers, like this percentage of kids need to pass the state test.
That's right.
Yep.
This percentage of kids need to move on. This percentage of kids, like we need to like have evaluated for IEPs. It was like nasty work.
Oh God.
And it was like, I need to do something. I need to get more involved. And I decided I was gonna go back to school. I did 6 years of school, got my teaching license. I got my 2 degrees, thank God. And that's where I am now.
All right.
What about you, Elisha?
Well, I too also started as a para, but it just goes a little deeper with my son, who he has ADHD. Just being in, like toxic relationships, I didn't have anyone to really babysit him as I was in the medical field at first. So it was, well, you get into an argument, find someone to pick up your son. Now you find somebody to take your son to school. So he had a para, and I'm like, Dad, I need something to work with his schedule. So she gave me the number to this para professional agency, and I just left the medical field, and I was just stalking them. Like, listen, like, I know y'all hiring. Every school need a para. Like, don't play with me. His name is Patrick. I'm like, Patrick, don't play with me. I know that's that Brooklyn in me. It just came out. Like, I know you hiring, and you can't lie to me. Like, I know y'all need a para. Right. It fell into my lap. I've been at AFE for the last 5 years.
Okay.
So I developed a passion when I got to the school, and I had this one child who just reminded me so much of my son.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, like, I hope I don't get reported. It's just really being... But listen, I would, like, you get the phone calls. It's coming from the era, of your mom. Like, when you get a report or a call from home, it's on site when you walk in the house.
That's right.
So, that ass was your mom's. And I'm just like, shit. So I tried to, instill that in my son's head, but he really took me as a joke, So I'm like whipping him out. Like, the teacher's not supposed to call me. He's like, I don't even know why they called you. Like, I was on red, but I didn't do anything. Like, it wasn't registering.
I was just there.
Right. It wasn't registering. So now I'm crying like, what the fuck? I never drank. I ain't smoke. I'm not on drugs. Where the fuck I get this kid from? I'm stressing like, oh my Jesus. Take me now, because what did I do? I don't understand this kid. Obviously, he don't understand me. Right. Because I'm gonna kill you if you do this.
Right.
He's just like, all right, love
sure,
you.
sure. You said that last week.
Right.
I'm still here.
Right.
So I get hired as a para, and I have this kid, and it's the same thing. And his background, he's African. Okay. And his mother's like, I'm putting him on rice, and I'm like, well, let me know if it worked, because I did that to my son, but it's not working. So you let me know what kind of rice you use, because I'm using Carolina.
Yes,
I don't know what kind of rice it is.
She's using the wild rice.
Right. So it just, they're sitting in the classroom, and it wasn't only that child, it was another one.
Okay.
So I'm helping this child, and I'm like, no, you got to focus. Let's read this together. Let's do it together. I found myself learning with that kid and just using like the tactics from the teachers for that kid, but taking it home and applying it to my kid. Okay. Still get his ass whipped to this day, but I said, wow, like, he's not the only one in the world like this, and I'm not the only parent going through what I'm going through.
Exactly.
So then I just started building relationships with parents. Okay. And I'm so comfortable with sharing my story. It just brings myself and the parents closer. And it just feels good when you just know that you're not the only one going through whatever it is that you're going through. You're not alone. Right. And you can call me. I'm that type of person at the school. You can call me and shit, we're gonna go out for drinks. We're gonna talk about it. Tony, ain't that right?
Ain't that right?
Yes, ma'am. We talking all our shit, and we just, uplifting each other. And I feel like at that moment, I found my passion. I found like what I was like born to do. Okay. I honestly, like, I love kids. I love giving back. I just love helping people in general. So that's when I'm like, yeah, this is it. And I think I'm in this educational field like forever.
Okay, so there's a few things, right? So one, your son was put here for a reason, right? So it helped both of y'all.
Yes.
Two, you're there to help the parents feel more comfortable, because they always say like, this person would never understand my child.
Exactly.
Because they have not experienced this, but you have. So I'm sure that gives them more reassurance because you freely tell your story. So they're like, you know what? I don't have to worry about, so when she called me about my child, I know it's for real because you deal with it every day. You're not just going to call for anything because you're like, look, boy, sit down and whatever have you. Right. So if you call it, then they know if you call it, it got to be something for real. So they're more comfortable with you because you
and I
you
also
know.
let them know, I don't really speak the AF, term. When I say go, it's what did I just say? Because you heard me.
Right.
Oh, you're not listening? Come here. But I let the parents know I'm not speaking to them in a way of like authority, speaking to them exactly how I talk to my children.
Right.
So I'm that person, what you see is what you get. So I guess that's why I'm respected. And, I honestly love what I do.
That's good. That's
I
important.
mean, for me, let me just say this, and I know I've said this to both of you guys because, they teach at my oldest daughter's school, so that within itself is a lot. I just want to extend a thank you because I know that my child is not an easy child to deal with on any levels. She stresses me out, and I live with her. So I can just imagine what she give y'all in school. So, and I want to tell y'all, listen. So I just want to tell y'all thank you, and I don't feel that you guys, just as educators are appreciated enough for what y'all do because y'all don't have to do it. Y'all can just have that mentality that y'all just check out, and these kids just do whatever the hell they want to do. Yeah. And I noticed you said something too about y'all baby kids and handhold and things like that. But I also feel that you guys approach kids in a way that's not just so like, okay, black and white, like you shut off everything and, like you said, an authority, like do this, do that. And like y'all try to talk to them like they're humans. And that is appreciated because these kids need that. You get a lot of kids that don't get that at home.
That's right.
And they need that. They get a lot of, you got kids that get a lot of shit at home. So to come to a place where you have a teacher that's trying to relate to you on another level outside of just being an authority figure, that's appreciated because even before I met either one of y'all, Madison used to come home and talk about y'all. That's how I knew she liked y'all because there's certain teachers she talk about and I was like, who the hell is these teachers keep talking about these teachers all the time? Because at the time I wasn't able to really come to the school like that. You work and you can only come up there certain times like report card night. You don't get to see everybody. So it was like, okay, she's talking about these teachers. She likes these teachers. And I, as a parent, you definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we say your child's name?
Yeah.
So first of all, Madison is a character for sure.
Yeah, I know.
But what I love about that kid, man, she's got a heart of gold. Like every time I don't care. Even when she was in the 5th grade, I don't care if she saw you 9 times. She was giving you a 5 9 times, and she was saying what's up to you 9 times. When I first got out, I used to teach PE, and and I probably shouldn't say this, but I used to scout because I'm a basketball coach. So one of the first things I would do in terms of units would be basketball. I'm like, okay, let me see who can do what. And I remember the first time I saw Madison play basketball, I was like, okay, this kid's a lefty, tall, athletic. Okay, all right, made a couple of shots, great. All right, let me see you do that against some boys. And I had to play against a kid that was like a really good 5th grade basketball player. She destroyed him. And I was like, yeah, this kid is, she's playing with us.
She's on the team.
Yeah, she's playing with us. So to see the growth and development of not only her on the basketball court, but her character, she's still to this day as an 8th grader, every time she sees you, gives you a 5, a hug, asks you how your day is, or saying something silly to make you smile. I'm gonna miss that kid, 1, but 2, it's just a testament of her growing up with someone who values character and respect and stand in the child's place. I think that's incredibly important. What I will also say in terms of you, what I appreciate is that we see you. I don't want that to go everybody's head. We see you. You're there. You're there for a report card. You're there for portfolio night. You're there for progress report night. You're there for the basketball games. We see you. And I don't know if parents understand how vital that is. People, in terms of educators need to know that yeah, I'm here to support you, but I'm also here to see what you're doing with my kid.
Right.
I want to make sure that you understand that I don't parent my child for you.
Right.
Because I think that's when I first got into Achievement First, and my son was in the elementary, and he would come home about that red, and I whip his ass every day about that red, and I'm finding myself every day parenting him so that he doesn't give the school any issues, and he's able to follow the school directives. And I realized that like that came at a price of my relationship with my child. Because even right now, I don't remember the last time I hugged my son. Because I've developed almost like a animus for my own child, because like every day I'm either worrying about seeing my colleagues, like I work there and I'm a parent. So like, do these people think that this is what I condone as a parent? Are they judging me? Right. So like Elisha and I, we have these conversations sometimes where it's like we get frustrated with our kids because we feel like it's a projection of us.
What you're not doing at home as a parent.
Exactly.
And when I let that go is when I started to understand that why it was important for people to just to be seen, so that they know that like it's not about like me always supporting you. It's about you also supporting me. Right. And this partnership.
Right.
Not necessarily about me making sure that now it's the Scholar Dollar check. That like I'm reading a Scholar Dollar check and I'm having conversations with my child about like that. I'm going to talk about like what you put in my kid's head. If there was a problem, did you and my child have a conversation about it, or did you silence my child today?
Right.
And now my child is going to get punished twice. And I tell parents, like, don't double dip.
Yes.
I used to tell you that all the time. Don't double dip. If the child had detention and had, read and all the other stuff, that's punishment enough.
Exactly.
Right. So I don't
like, to go home and then like they had that, then go home, they get their ass whooped, they come back and come back to another environment where they're gonna do the same thing again.
Right.
Yes. It's a cycle that keeps getting repeated. So that's why I appreciate why I see parents like yourselves in the building every day, making your presence known and not necessarily like taking the baggage that kids develop at school and bringing them home, because it's important that when kids go home, they have a different experience.
Yes.
It's about your day now. Like school is over, help you with your homework. Let's have a conversation about life. Let's have a conversation about like things.
Yes.
And leave
outside of the school.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because I definitely learned Madison, she used to get in trouble. I guess maybe it's to the point that nobody just even bothers to call me anymore. But she was getting in trouble
Maddie has calmed down. She did calm down.
Oh, thank God. She was getting like every day. It was to the point that I just push my phone away because I just be like, listen, I don't even want to open it. I don't even want to read it. But sometimes it's just like over what I've learned though is just like I just can't take everything personally. Like I think it was last week or the week before last week, they was texting me about she was tossing a pencil in the air, and I'm just like, like I understand certain behaviors are not accepted, but then also that these are kids. They're in a school building, listening to instruction all day long. Their day does not start when they walk through those doors. Their day start when they wake up. My kids wake up at 5:30 every morning. So their day starts from there. So I mean, me as an adult, if I'm at work from 7:30 in the morning until 4, I'm gonna be throwing pencils in the air too. Because
I'm gonna be throwing books and bricks at people because I'm ready to go.
After a while, you check out, because I know for me, after lunch, after 2 o'clock, that's it. I'm gone. I be
in my office like, don't nobody even talk to me. Like, I'm done for the day.
Yeah,
Leave me alone.
For kids, they're gonna have certain behaviors and certain things like that. So, I get it. I understand. It's a lie. It's definitely a lie.
No, it is. I know. I've experienced. And Treasure's not she don't get in trouble, like literally at all. So one day, I got a call from 3 teachers. Text messages, and I'm saying they must got the wrong kid. I'm like, they bugging out. Even the dean at the time, Ms. Clark, she texted me. She said, I'm don't think they have the right kid. Let me investigate, and I'll get back to you. I'm like, well, let me know, because I'm about to be in the car on my way over there. So they had said that Treasure had pushed the kid down, and she had kicked the kid. And I'm like, they had to do something to her, because she's not a troublemaker. Everybody loves her.
Child.
Everybody loves her. Now I do know my kids, but I do know sometimes people have bad days. So I said I wouldn't rule it out that it didn't happen, but I said either somebody did something to her or I don't know. It has to be an explanation. So when I get there, she's there with Ms. Clark and 2 other deans. Now Mr. Michael says, I ain't worried because I know you're going to handle it. I said, I will. So I go upstairs and so I'm talking to her. I let nobody else talk. I talk to her and they all standing there and they says, we love you. I'm like, why? Because I'm telling them, I need you to explain to me what happened. First, I want to know, did you do it? And she's looking at me with a stupid face. I said, okay, yeah, you did it. I said, but why did you do it? And she just kept looking at me, and I'm like, okay, so you know what this means, right? Because they didn't punish her because they didn't really know if she really did it or not. So they just kind of Ms. Clark just kind of said, Ms. Clark loves her. She loves me because she kind of just took on her, blow off some steam in the office. So when I got to the bottom of it, I said, okay, so you realize that this won't happen and this won't happen. I said, you need to write apology letters to these children because you can't just do that. Right. Now, later on, she tells me what really happened, which I didn't understand why she didn't tell me before.
That's how they get sometimes.
She said that the little boy she's very calculated. So they did something to her previous days ago. And she felt the opportunity to do something back to them at that moment. I said, but they probably forgot that they did that.
That was her point.
Like, you can't. She's like, I said, you can't just lash out at people. I'm like, you should have did it then when they did it to you. Like, I said, but just don't put your hands on people. Right. She's like, well, I really didn't mean. She said, when I pushed him, it was by accident. She said, because I bumped him with my stomach. And he fell. I said, but the boy got a knot on his head. So how much of a mistake was it? Like, how hard did you bump this kid?
Right.
So she's like, oh, but he's always acting silly, and I told him to leave me alone. I said, okay, ask your teacher, can you move away from him if it's a problem? But like I said, they all love Treasure. They treat my baby so good. Sometimes I'll be like, please stop. Like with the spoiling, because I be having to choke her out sometimes because I'm like, I ain't Miss Robinson, I ain't Miss Clark. Like, I will beat your ass up in this crib. I'm like, they got you like, oh
Wow, she was in my son's class.
Probably.
And she was in Miss Robinson and
Miss Robinson and Miss
oh my God.
Miss Belmar, I think.
Oh my God, light skinned black
last year,
teacher,
right?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. They were in the same homeroom. Yeah,
and all the way from kindergarten, I'm like, yo, y'all gotta chill with the baby and stuff.
That's
like,
what they
because I don't baby my kids. I'm like, you getting punched in the chest.
And then when your child acts out, because like with Treasure, London doesn't really get in trouble, which is a blessing because with Madison, she's a hellraiser, and London is the polar opposite. And I know one day, kids have bad days. One day she woke up in the morning and she just, I check on her, so she's sitting on the side of the tub. So I'm like, what's going on? She was just like, oh, I'm not feeling school today. I said, well, you're going,
right.
So
you can not feel it all you want.
So then this is how her conversation is just crazy. So then a couple time passed, I don't hear the shower water running, so I go. So now she's sitting on the floor in the bathroom playing with the dog. So I'm like, what's going on? She's like, oh, I don't want to go. I'm like, you're going. She goes to school that day. Later on that day, teachers texts me and they're like, I don't know what's going on with London today, but she was yelling and screaming at the teacher. I was like, what?
See, she wanted to do that to you that morning, but she couldn't do that.
All right. So, and it was just like, and it's out of her character, so I try to have, when they do certain things, I try to have conversations with them, well, what's going on? But with London, she was like, she just wasn't listening to me. I'm like, okay, well, I don't care if she's listening to you or not. She's an adult.
Yelling ain't gonna make her listen.
Yelling at this teacher like you're an adult. You can't do that. But
she was frustrated. She started out.
She wanted to stay home,
and then you probably was like, I should have let her ass stay home.
Hell no, not with me, child.
I don't know, but that's what I say. Like, kids are individuals, and we can't put them all in one category and think that you can treat them all exactly the same, because this is not the Stepford Wives. Like, everybody is different, and they have to be treated accordingly.
But a lot of times they like to, and I hate when they do that. They like to sit there and judge each kid. Group them, and you can't, because everybody learns at a different pace. Everybody
they have different household things.
We have to understand that every kid is different. Because just like what you said, I feel the same way. I have 2 children. So my son is 13 and my daughter's 8. Night and day.
My kids too.
Night and day. Like,
my
you
kids
can tell my son to sit down, and he's still like a space cadet. Like, sit down, and he still want to turn, and it's like, motherfucker, what did I just say? But my daughter, you tell her to sit down, and you will forget that you told her to sit down because she's still sitting there 5 hours later. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so quiet?
You told me to sit down.
That's how my oldest daughter was. I was just mad for like 2 minutes.
It's over now.
So.
Yeah.
That's what I used to always say about my 2 kids. Now, my kids is 13 years apart. And my 21-year-old, I used to be like, you still in your room? You alive? You not making no bombs in there, right? Like, you good? And she just would be reading her book. You would not know she's there. Whereas Treasure, you wish she wasn't there. Like, you sit down, go do this, go do that, go in your room, just go in the bathroom. Like, the girl is just she's like having 5 children at one time.
That's funny.
Like, and I just be like, I'm going to kill her.
Yeah.
Like, she really she drains all of my energy. But she's a great kid. Though. I love her.
Well, y'all guys, we're about to wind down. Real quick, is there anything that you guys are into outside of, do you have anything going on that y'all want to, just plug the people in so they could, know if you have anything happening, anything going on?
For me, I am trying to start up a Girls Inc. Group of just, like young women. I want to range it from about 9 to maybe 16, just to let, young ladies out there know that they're not alone and they don't have to turn to the streets or to a man for anything. And I understand, and I just want them to know that if they never heard I love you, or if they didn't hear it for that day, I love them. And I just want them to feel special and a part of the world, and they don't have to do things to feel a part. You can be you and still be a part.
I love that.
So that is definitely, I'm trying to put that in place like as soon as possible. So you guys can definitely look out for that.
Okay. Well, when you start that up, we'll
Yes.
definitely have you back.
Definitely, I appreciate
definitely.
it.
Of course. And John, anything with you?
Wow, you got me looking like a real piece of shit right now.
I'm sorry, John.
First of all, 'cause you got all philosophical and I love you, and
I'm just making flyers.
I'm about to shamelessly plug all kind of shit. You just
I'm sorry.
the piece of shit stamp, huh? Okay, so number one, again, thank you, ladies, for giving us this platform.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
We appreciate it.
This was a blast. I'm doing a couple of things. One, I started a basketball league. It's called Top Elite. We
Okay.
have 40 schools. Our playoffs are starting in about a week.
Okay.
This is our first year, so I wanted to give a plug for that.
Okay.
The other thing is I'm starting a boys group actually at our school.
My competition.
Facts.
So like girls, look out for those boys.
Exactly.
Right. But I'm starting a boys group at our school because I'm starting to realize that like their experience isn't diverse enough. Meaning like it's either detention, being referred and having to be in a reflection room, or like recess.
Okay.
That's the only thing our boys seem to like
Okay.
experience at our school, and I want to make that different. So I'm going to start a 7th and 8th grade boys group
That's good.
after the state tests, just to give
Okay.
them a little bit of give them a break
Okay. So
from some things.
Another
is it
option.
going to just be just for the kids within the school, or you're going to start with the kids in the school and then possibly grow it?
See, that's why she got me looking like a piece of shit, because I'm piloting it. I'm piloting that with kids at our school with the
Okay.
intentions of like that being
Okay.
something that could potentially grow.
Okay.
I'm from the South Bronx. My heart is in the Bronx.
Okay.
So like eventually, like
Yeah, I was going to boo you, but yeah, boo.
so eventually, like I want to give back to like where I'm from.
Okay, makes sense.
So I want to pilot like this boys group here in Brooklyn and be able to take that in both boroughs.
Okay.
And lastly, I'm having basketball camps in the summer. Look out for that. Madison could look forward to having one in the mail soon.
Okay.
And that's about it. That's all I got going on.
Okay, so
that's good.
just as for you as well, when you start your stuff, we'll definitely have you,
Yes,
back on
definitely.
and everything like that. So make sure you have all your social media plugs
Oh, yeah.
and everything together,
Yes.
so everybody can know where to follow you.
So we
and
can
look for
promote
those
you.
things.
Definitely.
Absolutely, because that's what we do here as well.
Yes.
So,
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
And just to everybody, tune in, new subscribers, old subscribers, thank you. We are on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube.
Spotify.
Spotify. Shit, no.
They gonna kick us off.
I know they okay, they can't get it right. Sprecher. That's
Y'all
the one I
know
fuck
what
up.
it's called.
Stitcher. Google Play. I can't think of anything else. SoundCloud. Yes. So look out for that.
Every goddamn
We
thing.
are
That's
everywhere.
what it is.
But you gotta say it because people be lazy. They don't want to click the link in the bio and go
Right.
everywhere. So I gotta say it.
Right.
But yeah. So thank you for tuning in.
Most
And
importantly, watch that YouTube channel.
yes, please do. Please do. Like it, subscribe, share, all of that. And again, thank you. And we are out.
Peace.
Peace.